we're living in a world where men are wandering and they're looking for a direction, and there's an urgency and an absolute cost of not going for that passion in your life that God put in us. And if you don't do it, that there is destruction. It will happen. It's happened in my life when I've not had a direction and didn't know where to go. And to me, the biggest risk was going to the grave with this idea.
Yeah.
All right, we're back. We've got Tyler Stallings here today. Tyler, thanks again for coming in.
Absolutely.
We love talking to entrepreneurs and inventors and small business owners, and you're sort of everything. And you're ex-military, so thank you for your service. Let's start off by saying that.
Appreciate you.
I thought once a Marine, always a Marine.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where the indoctrination of the Marine Corps is something that it's either going to change you or you're going to get kicked out.
That makes a lot of sense.
Do you still like make your bed perfectly?
You know, for a really long time, I shaved every morning, made my bed and these kinds of things. But, there is a point where I think guys can get so just indoctrinated into that's their identity. And when you get out of the Marine Corps, you get out of any military service, it's you have to move on to the next chapter of your life. And so I kind of let myself go on some things.
It's all right. Yeah, you earned it
to grow in a different way. And so I definitely I've shaved my head, and so my wife likes me have a little hair on my face. so I have a little bit of a beard now.
It's all about balance.
Yeah.
It's all about balance.
Gotta even it out.
Yeah.
So you are the inventor / creator, right, of a invention called StealthRig, right? And so, listen, if you found this video because you're a bow hunter, you're in the right spot, right? So Terra's even wearing camouflage. So clearly, like, we're huge bow hunters. So, we don't have to talk about the specifics of that. But by the way, I have no idea what bow hunting is. I've shot one arrow in my entire life. What?
When?
Cupid's arrow.
Oh my God.
Right into your heart. Bullseye.
He's a pro.
Exactly. But yeah, talk us through what StealthRig is and who's it for.
Sure. So StealthRig is a magnetic ecosystem of products to hold your bow and to do it in a way that just hasn't been properly executed. And so when you're going out on a hunt, you may have 50 pounds on your back, but you're going to have a 6-pound piece of aluminum and string and steel that's what's really kicking your butt the whole time. Switching left to right, putting it on your shoulder. And when I was in the Marine Corps, I carried machine guns. So I was kind of constantly thinking of better ways to do things. And in the Marine Corps, you're kind of told how to do it and you don't get to really argue too much. And so
they didn't let you invent new products on the scene?
I had some ideas, but no one seemed to listen to Lance Corporal Stallings at the time. But yeah, I mean, I came up with this idea when I was in the Marine Corps and dying to bow hunt. I think when things get taken from you, it highlights what really is important to you. And I'd been bow hunting since I was 13, and I enlisted in the Marine Corps fairly late. I was 23 years old.
Oh, wow.
And so when that would be like the first year that I wasn't able to bow hunt, it lit a fire in me that made me realize, oh, this is what gives me life in this world. And so I became, semi-obsessed in a different way, being held from that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wanting to hunt. And so I ended up getting a bow sent over. I was lucky enough to be stationed on Marine Corps Base Hawaii. And so the hunting there is, they had brought over axis deer and pigs from throughout the the years as gifts to the kings of the island at the time, and now they're overpopulated to the point where there's more axis deer than people.
Wow.
And so I go on the island of Lanai, and this is during the time where you're starting to see Joe Rogan and people like this entering bow hunting, and
Right.
it's starting to become more of a mainstream thing. Katniss Everdeen and the Hunger Games really fueled archery, and but during this time they're going to the island of Lanai, and I'm a 2-minute flight from Lanai. I can
Yeah.
almost see it. And so when I get over there, there's just groups of axis all throughout this island, and I'm bumping the group. I'm bumping this group, and what I ended up finding was the biggest issue was my bow. I put the bow in front of me and it crunches, and I put the bow on my head or on my back and it falls on my head. I put it up in front of me and there's no trees high enough that it's picking me off. And I just thought to myself, if I could get my bow to my back and be able to retrieve it, that would change the way I hunt. And it kind of started in the garage, and just sewing these things together and getting crazy powerful magnets and ruining phones and all kinds of things.
All your hard drives are fried.
Oh yeah, I mean, so
What's the what? So before we dive into this, so it's a magnetic system to hold your bow,
right.
right? But before that, what's the normal sort of way that you were saying? Like it was hitting you in the head, and it was rustling, and it was basically when you were saying bumping the group. Is that what you're
Yes.
saying? That was like basically you're scaring the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You have the way Axis operate is really unique in that they work in kind of harems, similar to like an elk group.
Okay.
So you might have a dominant Axis buck that has all of his does, and then you'd have what they call like satellite bucks that uh are not quite dominant enough to hold
They're
maybe.
betas. Let's let
Exactly.
They're betas.
Exactly what that is. And so you're going from group to group to group, and lucky you're on Lanai that you've got all these opportunities.
Okay.
And I was able to highlight that. But to answer your question, is before there was no solution,
Okay.
and it's they've had bow slings, and there's a rifle sling, and the sling serves multiple purposes, but it can't for a bow, it doesn't have the same it doesn't translate as easy
Mhm.
because you've got this thing that has to be removed before you can shoot, which in bow hunting, there's much of it is how concealed, how little of movements I can make. And if you have to add a movement to make
Right.
a really tough situation successful, that's just no good.
Time is of the essence for sure, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So you were like, okay. So how did you come to the aspect of like, let's try magnets?
So, it just seemed the obvious solution. I've had, I understood this is this isn't a, piece of paper you're putting on the refrigerator. There's different types of magnets: ceramic magnets and neodymium magnets. And neodymium is the silver, nickel-plated magnet that
Okay.
you've seen that is like, wow, this magnet's really, really strong.
Mhm.
And from there, I just like, if we get a big enough one, we'll make this thing work. And so yeah, and the thing is true with this product is I mean, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. I mean, you can get your bow on your back with a magnet, a bunch of different ways, but is it now accessible? Is it strong enough that
Right.
it's gonna hold, or is it too strong I can't get it off?
Yeah.
And so these are things that we, through R&D and years of hunting with it, was able to really perfect that perfect relationship, so that you can not just be able to put your bow on your back and use your binoculars, but that you can put your bow on your back and run up a hill, and you can climb a tree, and you can jump a fence. And so those were kind of my initial thoughts, is that this is going to be a third hand in my shoulder blades. And the amount of times people are asking, could you hold my bow for a second? Could you do,
Mm.
while I go pull my arrows out of the target? And it's just one of these situations where you use it all the time.
Yeah.
And those were kind of my initial thoughts.
What's the time frame between like the concept in your mind to actually like a test product out there that you could like sort of try out?
Well, I think COVID really launched a lot of things for people. It forced people to, uh, I've heard, if you're if you're not under pressure, you'll never move.
Mhm.
And the only way that you're going to be propelled to do something is if you're backed into that corner. I think COVID was that for a lot of people.
That was a tipping point for you. It was like
You know,
now's the time.
this was my idea. This was the thing that I knew if I kept in my head and went to the grave with, that it would destroy me.
Yeah.
And so I felt really called to bring it to market, and between the success I'd found with it, but also my friends are like, "You've got to make me one. You've got to make me one," and it became pretty pretty barbaric at first. And I mean, we were, bows were not designed to have magnets on them, so we got to make that work universally.
Mm.
And so it was several years before the idea in your mind came into what actually uh, is the product. And that whole journey of just because you can think of something, doesn't mean that you can make that thing.
Mhm.
Not physically, but because it's too expensive,
Mhm.
and so these intricacies of how much does that zipper cost, how do we want to put magnets in the lids, um, so many of the details of designing a product. There's just so much nuance, in creating it. It truly is one of the funnest puzzles that you'll ever get into.
I bet, because if you just stuck a magnet on a arrow, it would, like, make it go funny.
Sure.
So you have to, like, get everything to where it's still working just the way you want it to. That's really cool.
Did you have to put together like a whole team or like what was the process of like of production?
Well, so that was, one of the probably toughest things to do is first I needed a proof of concept that this was something that I wanted to make, but then how do you actually make it? And I was referred to kind of a contracting website, Upwork,
Oh yeah, okay.
and a really phenomenal service for these kind of independent uh, uh, contractors that have these specific skill sets. Whether it's, I need someone to make me a logo, I need someone to design and source magnet covers, and I need someone that that is incredibly uh, swa- uh, um, or has a lot of experience with CAD. And
Mhm.
so the I actually had a kid that was going to school at Brown for mechanical engineering design the quick release for the magnet. And it just Jesse Gallant, you know was the best employee I ever had. And that's something too that you
Sure.
find out, is how important people are
Mhm.
in a business. Is It's not unique to inventing something in everything, and it's something that, I prayed early on that God would put the right people in StealthRig to promote it to the place I wanted it to go. Because uh, people, I mean, you can't do it by yourself.
Right.
You have to find the right people, and God has fulfilled that prayer in just so many ways. It's overwhelming. The amount of people that have just the right place at the right time. I met this guy, and we end up just a lot of things have come out of relationships.
Did you have to like what's the patent situation? Do you need to follow patent? And then sort of like is this a ecosystem where accessories can be built off of that by either you
Like copycats.
or other partners? Not necessarily copycats, but like can other people build off of what you've created?
Of course. Okay, so on the patent question, yes, something Obama did that has been fantastic for inventors, business owners, is a provisional patent that will allow the inventor to only have to pay for the filing fees, which will allow you to be patent pending for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to file for your non-provisional utility patent, and
Okay.
that's when you need to hire a lawyer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's what I did. And my initial idea, and I think this kind of comes down to, you know, how much you believe in your product. What's the safest bet? And something that I learned is that there is no safe bet. And if you're gonna bet on yourself, you might as well go all the way and not shortchange you on
Mm-hmm.
a goal that's maybe attainable, but maybe something that's a bit crazy. And so for me, the safe bet was I'm gonna go and license to the big companies
Mm.
by using this patent. And that period, that year, was me going and seeking that out. And I got a lot of good, or a lot of, attaboys that, that's a great look, that's a cool idea, not our brand direction.
Okay.
And, at, you know, it didn't deter me. I knew that I wasn't going for small companies. I was going for very brands you've heard of.
Mm-hmm.
And but I felt so compelled that this was something that was useful, that there's something that the industry is calling for in indirect ways. My product is a bunch of products in one,
Okay.
and solves and really makes a lot of products obsolete. And so yes, that was my first process, is getting this provisional utility patent, not being able to license, and then saying, okay, well, I'm moving forward. I'm going to bring this to market, whether you like it or not.
Go big or go home.
So
Non
now, so you're focused on now direct to consumer,
so
essentially.
I'm direct to consumer,
Okay.
but I'm also in a few stores, and we're signed with Specialty Archery, who's my distributor,
Okay.
who distributes my product. They're based out of Omaha, Nebraska, and a really great guy, Andrew Pauly. When we won first place for products introduced at the ATA in St. Louis, met this guy, Andrew Pauly, and after we had won, we were getting Bass Pro Academy,
Right.
anybody you could think of was coming to us and asking, what are your margins? Are you a direct to consumer company? Are you the real deal? And at that point, we had been selling our product for about a month and a half.
Wow.
And
Okay. I saw a video. Yeah, it's an already award-winning product, right? Saw that you won first place. Um, that was my sort of like inclination when I saw the video, going like sort of like a Shark Tank sort of situation where it's like, aren't all of these organizations or businesses going like, all right, let's talk, right? And so what seals a deal in those situations? For an example, like a Bass Pro, like what is the process of a Bass Pro coming to you and going like, and how much experience did you have of like figuring out how to do these deals?
Well, I had zero experience. My goal was to get to the ATA and to win that award.
Yep.
And it was something that I had planned on doing for years. And when I finally had finished it and gotten it ready, that's all I knew. And so when I won the award, I didn't really know what was next.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so I was looking like a deer, caught in the headlights, and it was obvious. And despite what I thought was going on, my inside was very much on my sleeve, and
Yeah.
I was pretty overwhelmed talking to these companies and not having the right answers for sure. I knew that I needed someone that could come alongside me, work with where I was, and get me to that place where I could start sending product out, in bulk. And so that was a kind of one of the reasons I went with Specialty Archery, is that this was a company that was still had a international reach, 3,600 stores,
Oh wow.
and a very reputable 25 years running brand. And I really, like I say, people are everything. And I did feel like I was in the Shark Tank whenever you were going and talking to these companies, where
Oh, because they're out, I mean, they're out to obviously, there's make a profit and get the board happy about their decisions, things like that. And so just thinking about those things, I'll be like, man, like, how do you not I don't want to say taken advantage of, but you know what I mean? Like, it's if you have very little experience, it's like, oh, we're going to be able to maximize our margins on this because
Especially, like, when you're so excited to, like, accomplish this goal that you just set out. Like me, I'd probably be like, "Yeah, we can do everything."
whatever
Like,
deal
just
you want,
yeah,
great,
whatever,
right?
it's
And then
fine.
you're
Like, I'm
like
just so excited that you like me.
kicking
Yeah,
yourself.
yes.
Okay. So you're with specialty archery. So that's what it's called,
Mm.
specialty archery. So what's on your roadmap for the next few years?
I want to. They say it takes 4 years to etch yourself into the market,
Okay.
which is a very competitive market. I'm kind of in two markers places within the market. One is bino harnesses, which are a very competitive market. You've got Marsupial, you've Muley Freak, FHF, some really great brands that people, bow hunters, are a bit dogmatic in the way that this is the way I've done it, this is the
Mm,
way Uncle John did it, and this is how that's the best one. And there's no way to convince them otherwise, which is fine because my product is, you don't have to have my bino harness. You can use the StealthRig Lite, which is what won the award. The StealthRig Lite can attach to backpacks. It can go on your person over your current bino
oh,
harness.
that was the piece where it was like you could attach to the back of your the seat in your car, right, in your truck.
Yes.
Right. So it's very versatile. Okay, that makes more sense now when I was looking at because I was kind of confused. Obviously,
Yes.
I'm avid bow hunter, but sometimes you get confused, and I was like, oh, okay. So it was basically just like that was that magnet that you could, like you were saying, place wherever you needed to.
Right. The versatility of not having a specific use case allows it to have just this super wide ways to use it, putting it around trees and things when you're in the stand. And that's kind of what pushed StealthRig is that it was a stalking device. It was a
Mhm.
way to get in on axis deer and to be able to crawl on your belly with your bow on your back and access your bow quietly. But it just bled over into all these different use cases because now I'm going out elk hunting. I need to use it with a backpack now. Okay,
Mm.
how do I do that? And that's where the StealthRig Lite came in play, where I'll need to be able to attach to all different kinds of devices, so or use cases. So yeah, that's kind of the way I went about it.
So going back to the military setting, right, and being stationed in Hawaii, is 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 uh is this product? I mean, could it be used for carrying rifles? I mean, what's the situation with magnets and rifles?
Well, so so we're making a product, and we're dealing with a few different, because you can go a bunch of different routes, because my patent is not specific to bows.
There we go. See this? Tyler's got it, man. Okay, this is what I was leaning into because I was sitting there going like, I mean, one, does the military already have a scenario like this? I don't know, right?
Mhm.
Um, but two, I'm sitting there going like, man, if this guy could get the military contract, I mean, you're sitting pretty, right? Like, so that's what you're working on. Is this an exclusive that you're dropping on this podcast?
Well, we'll have to decide whether or not we leave it in.
All right, TBD. Got it. All right,
You want me to clap right here so you know?
fair. That's fair.
But yes, we're working on a product for crossbows right now, and it will bleed over to other products without a doubt. It with crossbows are a little bit more intricate in that they don't have a universal way that they're designed. Bows have a few universal parts that are all the same piece to piece, which made making a universal part a little bit easier. Crossbows is a little bit tougher,
Mhm.
and so yeah, we're working to do that. Whenever we set out to do the patent, they kind of describe it like putting a fence in your yard. Like you don't want to make the fence outside your borders of what you don't own. but you also don't want to put it too close inside and leave space on the outside of your
Right.
property. And you
Mhm.
want to claim what you own and make it very defined, and which is the reason why people file so many patents, is to really cover the specifics of not the design but the utility, the purpose of how it's used.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't know how interesting this is, but utility patent versus design patents are totally different things. So, on like a Stanley Cup could make a design patent to how they make the shape of their cups, but utility patent would be the
Right.
insulation they
Right.
put inside the cup that only Stanley uses, or Yeti's insulation for their cups or coolers.
Gotcha.
Seems probably a little harder to do, I guess, because it's like, well, some things are just like, that's sort of the nature of it, right? Like, how do you patent, like a fork, right? It's like, okay, so we're working on military contracts. You heard it here first. I mean,
Maybe.
I'm thinking of all types of like of utilities, right? It's like, what about the Olympics, right? They have archery. Like, I mean, it seems like a pretty good
Ooh.
uh contract to get, or something, or some sort of.
Well, the decathlon
Okay.
is one that if you watch the decathlon, these Olympians have 22s that have incredibly starched um, like shoulder backpacks that are on the side, that I can't imagine are helping them be more accurate, as it's
Mm,
stuck out, kind of just starched out to the side, and they grab and throw it on their back. Yes, I definitely have a vision of it being used for a use case like that, the quickness and the speed that they could do it, as well as it not infringing on their ability to be accurate uh, during the decathlon.
sure.
So,
Interesting.
Without obviously talking numbers, not interested in that part, but I mean, like, was this a significant investment in terms of of getting this up and going? Like, was this something where like, you say you're married? Was this something where like, if this doesn't work, honey, like,
We're moving in with mom and daddy.
yeah, like, how much stress was this on you, or how much of the financial like backing was this?
um, it was a huge and significant
Okay.
stress and financial risk for me to get to the point of, I have a protected idea, I have inventory, I have a website, I can sell, I can send it out the door. Was a very significant for me amount of money, and a lot of it too is that you're dealing with a rare earth mineral. And as a Marine, I over engineered this to the point where I wanted this to be the most durable lifetime product that anyone could put on their bow, because my name's on it.
Right.
Mhm.
And so we put infused titanium on the inside to hold the strongest parts of the magnet, which is taking a ton of force, CNC machine parts, and we just didn't spare an expense in making sure that we produced the best product imaginable. And then when we went on to make the harnesses themselves, had to ensure that we had the best uh, company to produce what we were wanting to produce, and that was uh, years of finding the
Mhm.
right company to make them. And so yeah, that was a tough situation for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's just part of being an entrepreneur, right? And you've got to make sacrifices, and you've got to really believe in yourself and your product. It sounds like you have a great support system, right? And that always helps.
Well, the
Right.
bigger risk is not doing it. And
Yeah.
the thing is we're living in a world where men are wandering and they're looking for a direction, and there's an urgency and an absolute cost of not going for that passion in your life that God put in us.
Mhm.
And if you don't do it, that there is destruction. It will happen. It's happened in my life when I've not had a direction and didn't know where to go. And to me, the biggest risk was going to the grave with this idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the coulda, woulda, shouldas
Yeah.
later in life.
You're kind of making me want to go bow hunting. Man. Never done it. Never even crossed my mind. I'm from Las Vegas. I grew up in Las Vegas. So
Did you?
I don't know that there's a lot of bow hunting out there, but it sounds cool. I mean, I'm here in Texas now, and it's
Nevada, they've got some
they've got some good stuff.
They've got some of the biggest elk, for sure.
Some bighorn sheep.
That's why there's Elko.
Stop. First
There is an Elko.
okay, but
You got to be a resident in order to get into
Yeah,
Nevada.
well, I mean, we can get you. I mean, you want in? Let's go. I mean, is it
We
something
can
where
give
you're
you an
like,
address, everything.
yeah, we've got the hookup. I mean, is it something where you'd be like, Ryan, why don't you just come bow hunting with me? I could be super quiet, potentially. Film it, which is key.
Yes.
Help me, Tyler, help me get my first verified kill. You know what I mean? I've seen Red Dawn. I want to, like you got to drink the blood of your first. I've got to paint my face, I've got to say thank you for, I watch a lot of Alone, the TV show.
Yes.
Okay. See, I can tell. See, he's into it.
Absolutely.
Well,
That's a great show.
It's a great show.
How do you think you do on Alone?
I do terrible. I would make it. I would be the guy that
5 minutes in.
Yeah, that guy that's in there is like,
He saw a grizzly bear across the lake and he was like, I'm out.
Day one, like, there's bears here.
Hour
Nah,
one.
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Bow hunting. We're pretty much professional campers, and you've got to be able to camp as well as be able to hunt. And I've done some scouting trips where I'm gonna go spend a couple days alone, and you spend like one night alone, alone. Like, you drive off into Colorado on those, drop-offs where you're like, I don't think if you went in there you could get out. You go in there and, you've spent, uh, miles getting to where you want to get to. And that alone, along with a few bear tracks on the way in, I mean, that is going to put a mental lock on your brain like no other. And I do think is how you're designed.
Yeah.
I need people.
I think that's what we're designed for. You know what I mean? Like, we're a social animal. You know what I mean?
I could not poop in the woods.
That's where you're out.
And bugs, eating bugs.
That's actually what I would say is one of the pros is some of these pooping in the woods kind of things. But I mean, I just think that
Get back to nature.
You've got to. There's something about drinking water out of a stream that it's like the best Powerade you've ever tasted in your life. It's like drinking an energy drink. Drinking
because it's got all the like minerals in there
and bacteria. I'm sure you got to boil it, right? I mean, watch every season, every episode. Have never done any of those things. So for me, it's almost like, and then to the point where I go like, you didn't even make a gill net, dude. Like, how are you supposed? And meanwhile,
gill nets are OP.
I've never even done it. So like it gets to the point where you're going like, what are you doing? Look at all the mistakes you're making. Meanwhile, I wouldn't last an afternoon out there.
Like when the guy dropped his thing of arrows.
Oh yeah, what is it? A quill?
Yeah.
The guy from Texas, I think.
Was he? From
I think
Texas?
so. Yeah, and he was distraught about it. He was like, "Well,
I would be too. Like,
I'm done."
That's how you planned on.
He was like, "I'm not. I
getting
don't
your
even
food.
plan on fishing. I'm just." And then they were like, "I'm hunting big game out here," and I was like, "Whoa, it's big talk for Alone."
Yeah.
What's your like dream location to go bow hunting, like around the world? Like, what your bucket list?
I've been really fortunate to be able to kind of check a lot of things off my
Oh wow,
list.
okay.
And not that I don't have other things that I want to do. But I think with StealthRig, it pushed you to go ahead and do that hunt that you've been dreaming of. And that doesn't necessarily mean, going and spending a ton of money and getting a guided hunt, but just going to these locations and giving it your shot. I've been able to bow hunt in some really cool areas in the last recent years. But Alaska and shooting a moose is just the coolest thing I can imagine doing. And those hunts are typically, end on day 14
Yeah.
and they don't see a moose until then, and that kind of seems the kind of the rite of passage to
Yeah.
is that how your hunt should go. I've been able to shoot some elk and do some of those dream hunts, but the moose is so far for most bow hunters, and especially on where you live, it's an investment to make that happen, no matter how you slice it.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the biggest animal in North America. It would be
How
amazing,
far out are you shooting a moose? Because I feel like, and I've never even, I don't know that I've seen a moose like in person
right?
in a zoo or whatever. I
Yeah.
feel like
Us too.
they're an angry animal if you piss them off, right? And so how far are you out to shoot a moose and know that it's not going to just come and run you down?
It just seems as though when people are shooting moose, it ends up being these incredibly close encounters,
Whoa.
and
Okay.
partially is a strategic point of view where they may have a cow call into a thick part of wherever you are in Alaska versus a big open spot. So
Mm-hmm.
you're calling to this bull to come across, and if he doesn't see mama cow, then this doesn't seem right.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever mama cow's in a thick piece of tundra, then that oh, maybe she's around the corner.
Yeah, he's more willing to like give it a shot because he's like, listen, this might be a while here and it's cold, so let's go. All right,
Yeah.
man. What would you suggest a novice like me start if I want to start bow hunting? I don't think I'm trying to take out a moose. I don't think I'm there yet. What are we talking here? Like give me my sort of like hierarchy of what I should start out with.
Well, first you need to go to Brush Mountain Outdoors and
Okay.
go to the fine people over there, and they'll get you set up. We live in an actual desert, but also an archery desert, and the only spring is the Brush Mountain Outdoors, and so that's the place to go. As far as you know, we live in the most amount of bow hunters live in Texas of
Mm-hmm.
any state. We have the most amount of opportunities of any state, and that has made us a little have taken for granted our
Okay.
opportunities. If we go to our neighbors in these other states, their opportunities and the things that they're granted are overreaching in ways that really limit their abilities. We have a ton of private land in Texas, and there's something to say between the balance between the two. And absolutely, we all have access to public land in Texas for sure. But we all know somebody that we can go jump on a hunt, it seems like, as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a a pig hunt is something
Okay.
that I feel as though is a really great first opportunity. Large in part because of their eyesight is not very good. They are incredibly intelligent, and they have the best nose of anything in Texas that you're gonna have to beat downwind of these pigs and before but also pigs are a lot like people in that they're just well this is a bad way to, to compare the two. They're just very gluttonous, and they use they're smart, but they
They'll
listen to
take a
their
meal over some
It's from safety.
some suspicions.
well, and they may play the odds game of, there's 13 of us in here, and so this is a little fishy, but I got a good
Take
chance
what
of
you can
getting out
get.
of here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
They're playing the odds. Okay. I just gotta be faster than you, buddy. All right.
yeah.
Okay.
And I think a turkey hunt is
Ooh,
is
I didn't even
something
think about that.
that is
Turkey hunt.
is probably one of the more exciting things. For some guys, it's like fishing. They're like, I don't like fishing. And it's like, well, your fishing experience was putting a bobber out with your grandpa
Yeah.
and sitting there and not catching anything all day. And then there's fly fishing, and there's fishing in Del Rio and currents, and there's all different types of where fishing becomes more like hunting, where you're looking for the most probable locations, and putting yourself in those situations to find success. So a turkey hunt is such a fun hunt, because for someone that doesn't want to go sit in a stand,
Mm-hmm.
calling to turkeys and having a tom come in and be gobbling at you can get your heart going like just about anything. It's so fun.
All right, I'm in. I'm in. I'm in. You've got me hooked on a turkey hunt. I just want to use
You can
the.
go out to my dad's house. They always
Yeah,
have these.
they have turkeys out
The
there.
wild turkeys just like come up to their door and like look inside.
It's not the wild turkey I'm used to, but
The turkey legs are not how they
no,
taste at the store,
not at
but
Disneyland. Oh,
but honestly, a wild turkey breast is phenomenal.
okay. I'm into it. It sounds cool. I mean, I've never experienced those types of things. You know, I mean, it's like I don't want to go to the grave going like, oh, I wish I would have. I didn't fish until I was like 40.
I mean, you went rattlesnake and rat hunting
It
once.
didn't work out whatsoever. We didn't see a one. And that scared the hell out of me, to be honest. I was like, you want me to shoot a rat?
As my dad
With
and
a
my
pistol?
uncle are like clearing out the rat's nest, they're like, all right, as soon as you see the eyes shoot, and Ryan's like,
This is my first day in Midland, Texas.
first time meeting my dad. Yeah.
You want to go out rat hunting? I was like a rat
They're
or something
big rats.
massive. Because I don't know if he was using the terminology. It was like, this is a marsupial or something. I have no idea. But I was like, sir, the only guns I've ever shot is on Call of Duty. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to hit this thing, and I'm hoping we don't see one till I look like an idiot.
I just didn't want you to shoot one of them.
I just didn't want to shoot myself in the foot or something, to be honest with you. Let's go. I'm curious on the marketing side, right? So, how are you marketing this? Are you letting Specialized sort of handling that stuff, or sort of what is the plan? Just because my background's in marketing, and I've got an idea. I mean, like, sitting there going, have you shipped these to old Joe Rogan yet? I mean, I feel like he's obviously subscribed and he watches every episode. So,
Hey, Joe.
Joe, let's just get Tyler on. I mean, you know what I mean? But what does the marketing look like? Or how are you consistently getting your name out there in StealthRig?
Well, I'm selling a magnetic harness, but I'm really just trying to sell a lifestyle, and more than anything, uh, showing that following your passion and going for these goals that may seem a little bit crazy, that is the ultimate sell, and it really has just been a story, and watching me make a pretty bold claim and saying I invented the most innovative archery product in the last decade. And it was me just from the beginning, showing this is where I am. I'm trying to take the audience, and for you to come alongside as I am switching manufacturers and designs and getting to this point and then winning at the ATA. I'm really just selling the journey and the story of what I've gone through in pursuing this dream of StealthRig being a household name and making not just what I've made, but an entire system of products that people are taking all around the world and experiencing these experiences
Mhm.
that I want more of.
Um, is it a possibility? Like, could another large archery type outdoor brand come in? I mean, is that on the table to like come in and do an acquisition perhaps? Like, has that even been discussed?
I have been I have had one company reach out to purchase me, but uh, I'm in it for the love of the game, and
I like it.
I think that not seeing Stealth Rig to where I want it to be that's really what I'm seeking. I think, if the best financial decision I could have ever made was to not start Stealth Rig, we'd be
Yeah.
in a totally different place. But Stealth Rig has been the direction, the actionable steps that have been allowed me to live out God's purpose in my life. And so those opportunities to work with other brands are things I'm looking for, but I'm not
Mhm.
looking to get rid of it and just to let the big boys take it from here.
Sure.
Good.
That's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great to hear. You're not just looking for
A
a
payout.
big paycheck, and then
Yeah.
you're kind of like, then you're just going on all the hunts. But you're in for the long game. I like to hear that because we're in the same situation, right? This is like for the love of the game. I love to hear that. Um, all right. So when you were stationed in Hawaii, right, was part of your mission or part of your job ever to, I don't know, guard any sort of like alien fortress or anything? What was going on out there in Hawaii? I don't know. I mean, listen, people talk. We have UFOs now. They're confirmed. Anything that you can go on record with saying that the NSA won't balk at?
Oh man. Marine Corps is screaming OPSEC at me right now. So
This is how you get on Joe Rogan. I'm telling you something.
no,
Or just
when you're on bases,
okay.
there's just a lot of weird stuff that goes on. It's like, what is that building? Why is there like a vent coming out of the mountain? Like, why is there an exhaust? And what is that hatch? And all kinds of things
Yeah.
that
Volcanoes, they tell you. Please, dude. We know better. We know better.
But
All right.
like our time was you look up into the sky and see things that they just don't make sense. And whenever you've seen all these kind of UFO sightings and things like this, it's like, man, like we have some crazy stuff. And I can't explain a lot of the, instantaneous, doesn't make sense, propulsion out of the universe immediately stuff. But there were times in training where you have a drone going over your head, but it's not a drone with propellers. It's just a ball in the a black sphere
Man.
moving left to right, and it's not because you heard it, because it's perfectly silent. And you go to look up, and it's just looks like it's on a string or on a rail.
Yeah.
And I think that our government and others are just there are things that we just don't know about.
Yeah.
And won't know on purpose, and it's totally fine. I'm just, I'm always interested in just kind of getting other people's takes that may or may not have any sort of clearance that the regular Joe Schmoes of the world just don't, because I'm always just curious, right? I don't know. I used to think of just like, nah, this couldn't happen and that. And I'm not saying I go down these like conspiracy rabbit holes, but sometimes I go like, man, you know what? That makes a lot of sense now. I also watch a lot of the Y-Files, which I probably shouldn't do. It's a great show, great YouTube channel. But I just go like, man, what do they know that we don't know?
I really hope there's no aliens.
Nah, there is. It's Star Wars Day. Anything else you've got on the horizon or anything? Do you have to go to like a lot of events and shows like that? Is like that's what a lot of your time is doing, or what?
Yes, we're a premier sponsor at the Beast Mode Archery Challenge, which is a 3D archery shoot, but also has almost a CrossFit or just a physical aspect to it.
Cool.
Explain 3D. What is 3D archery?
3D archery is a tournament where you may have a target, 30 to 20 to 30 targets, where you are shooting at molds of different animals. And so, polar bears and deer and elk and then dinosaurs and all kinds of wild stuff sometimes. So they have some novelty fun stuff, that they
aliens probably.
Zombies.
Yes. Okay.
So it's a fun. There's not like a winner. They're typically just these fun events where they'll do the biggest one is the Total Archery Challenge, and we just went to San Antonio, and which I really need to mention this. Just talking about God putting the right people in a stealth rig. A huge proponent in archery for me that there's a thing that archers all develop in it, and they get it immediately. It's called target panic. And so when you're shooting a bow versus shooting a rifle, the power behind that projectile is in your muscles. You're holding all of that weight, And that naturally is going to give you a timer, because your brain is saying, get rid of this pain in your shoulders and in your back.
Okay.
Let go, in the rifle, all of the power is held in that gunpowder, and
Mm-hmm.
that potential energy is stored there with the primer to ignite and send it down the barrel. This can be, you're completely detached from this until you fire the round, which is why you get it in archery and not as much in shooting a bow.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And so this is naturally going to get worse and worse and worse until you have some way to be able to plan for this anxiety. And I could really get into it really deep, but a short version is that you have to make and decide from when you pull back that when I'm getting there, I have no control over where I'm aiming. It's just like when I go and put my finger out in front of me and I try to point at a stop sign. It's really easy for me to put it right in the center. I'm driving
Mm-hmm.
a car. It's really easy for me to go down the middle of the lane. I don't have to really focus down the middle. I can just relax and let my body take over. It's the same way with aiming. But if I were to push you, the first time you may not react, but if I kept pushing you, you would start to react. And then if I were to go and push but not push you, you would lean forward.
Yeah.
And that's the same with shooting a bow. When that release goes off, it's an explosion.
Mm.
The release going out of the pain in your muscles, but also this arrow sending out, and you have to react. Your brain will not let you not react. And the way you override that is through a surprise release. And that is done through executing the shot by pulling through the shot, and you know it's in this window of when it's going off, but all you can focus on is that point. This kind of knowledge was absolutely foreign to me
Yeah.
in 2016, and when I was on the base, trying uh to archery was deprived from me, and I was dying for it, but I was also trying to overcome target panic. And the only person that I could find to help me with this was a guy named John Dudley. John Dudley is who got Joe Rogan into archery. It
Oh,
got
okay.
Chris Pratt into archery. He is the LeBron James of archery. And so John Dudley is this kind of celebrity influencer within the space called Knocked On, and has been someone that has allowed me to continue my passion. I wouldn't be able to without him and his videos of explaining how to override this mental breakdown
Yeah.
that in all of our heads. And um, fairly surreal that during this last week, John Dudley, who had kind of seen some of my stuff, came up and did a video
Oh, wow.
with my. I wasn't there at the event, but it's like, hey, I've seen these guys. When I first saw it, it looked like it was in a garage, and look how cool this is. They've built the brand. You guys come and endorsed our product, which, like I
Nice.
say, the dogma of archery is that this is the way I did it. This is how Uncle John did it.
Mm-hmm.
The only way you can break that is through someone of validation. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm never going to be able to do that. But a guy like John
You
Dudley,
got the Dudley seal of approval.
all right.
That's
And
awesome.
those kind of, God bringing in the right people at the right time,
Sure.
overwhelming.
I mean, I feel like you and Joe Rogan are going to be besties before long.
Does Dudley have a podcast?
Yeah.
See,
The Knox podcast.
listen, let's just get you on a whole press junket here. Hey, start your own. Why not? Like we all are, right? That's the thing.
I know.
Is there a Bow Bros podcast?
Oh.
There's,
We're gonna talk.
let's do it.
But Tyler, man, we really appreciate you coming in today and telling your story. It's super inspirational, I think, to a lot of entrepreneurs out there, whether they be in the outdoor world or not, right? I think it's all about like you were saying, like having a vision, but having, for lack of a better word, the guts and the determination to see it through, right? Whether it succeeds or it fails, right? You'd rather know, and you'd rather put the sacrifice in And man, we wish you all the best and all the success. And let us know if we can support in any way. And also let me know if I can go hunt some turkeys.
No, we're hunting it. Like, absolutely.
Yes.
We're doing it.
I'll work on my calls.
Give me a turkey call.
Oh,
You have to do the hand thing.
yeah, I don't have. There's a whole thing. It's like there. That I mean, I'll
Was
obviously,
that good?
obviously, I'm going to edit it in.
Work on it.
I'm going to edit in a real turkey call. So I mean, that's the benefit of being an editor. Right? It's
I
going to
feel
sound
there's more
phenomenal.
like throaty sounds to it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'll work on it.
Yeah.
I'll work.
I
on it.
watched a lot of Duck Dynasty, so
Oh, super cool. But again, man, we really appreciate your time, and we wish you the best of luck. And listen, go check out StealthRig. You've put all the links in the description. And let's get Tyler on 100 more podcasts that are all about this world, and we'll be able to say that we knew you when you were on our tiny little podcast, and now you're dominating
a
this
bow bro.
industry. Now you're a bow bro. Man, I got to make those hats. All right. And if that's it, man, if you got anything else to push.
No, I mean, we'll be at Total Archery Challenge, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
We'll be Total Archery Challenge, Utah. Every Beast Mode Archery Challenge. We'll be at the Mobile Hunting Expo in Georgia and in Pennsylvania. And so go to stealthrigllc.com and to learn more.
Excellent.
love it.
Say hi to Tyler when you're there. All right. We'll see you on the next one. Bye. Boom. Cut.